would not go run down the street. Get a call up in the tree.
Those are the days.
Huh? Good evening. Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Video type game now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna be.
I'm not feeling my best today, but I'm here. No, it just means that if I feel any worse, I'm gonna leave.
No. We don't need to set those to them. Water or no? Can I go to us? Okay. Yeah. All right. Eric? Nope. Never.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen, it is 6 p.m. My pleasure to welcome you to the Highland Park City Council in-person and virtual workshop for today, Monday, April 21st at 6 p.m. If you will be kind enough to call the roll, Madam Deputy Clerk.
Councilman Ashafi,
Present.
Councilwoman Martin,
Here.
Councilwoman Manica,
Here.
Pro Tem Robinson, President Thomas.
Here, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, we have one agenda item for today. This is a continuation of the workshop on the proposed budget for the city 2025 and 2026. What City Council has in front of us is a document that we received. This is our third time receiving this document. It is an itemized budget in a way that you would see for your home, but it is done for our city. We will open up the floor. We have presentations from the water department today. I also sent out an email to my colleagues asking them to put together any questions or concerns that they might have had related to today's meeting. I don't know if those questions or concerns, give me just a moment to check into my email to see if they were actually. I did receive some communication earlier today. Madam Pro Tem believes that that was addressed. So what I would like to do for those who are here to hear from the water department is turn over the floor to Mr. Garrett from MCA. In the past, there have been a great deal of questions related to the water department's budget. They have made significant cuts in their budget, and Mr. Garrett will have an opportunity to go over the budget with members of council, answer any specific questions that they may have. And then we'll leave the rest of the time open for general questions related to our budget. Also, any additions that City Council would like to make. This is an opportunity now before the budget is complete and the motion for the public hearing. So I will turn the floor over to Mr. Garrett. 32.
So, good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Before we get started, I want to make sure you all, I'm going over the water department, which is 592, 527, 536, 538, 539. That you all have that in the packet, correct?
I think I have it right here.
Okay.
So coming from
Yes.
on which pages now? What you gave us section number.
Page 32.
Page 32.
You got a lot more here than on 32, young fella, but okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm just waiting on Ms. Councilwoman Martin.
Okay.
City, you don't have any, do you, City?
What?
The budget from last meeting?
No, I didn't bring that up.
Okay. Okay, all right. So what I would like to do today is bring some very, very good news today. So we're gonna have some good news. So I'm gonna do a quick high-level summary. So right now, last year's budget was 10.5 million.
Mhm.
Okay. This year's budget is 9.6 million.
Okay.
Okay. So we are cutting the budget by $897,000. So just under $900,000. And you might say, well, how are we doing that? We have a 5.7% increase in water charges from Gleewood and 4.3 in sewer and 3.8 in industrial waste charge. So what we did is we went and we started cutting. Now, there's a couple things, there are a couple reasons why. Number one, during litigation last couple years, state had a report that came out that talked about cash flow. And you heard it from the auditor, you heard it from Carl about the water enterprise fund borrowing money from the general fund, right? So what the message has been from these third party people is we have to try to create a cash reserve. So the only way we're going to be able to create a cash reserve is to be able, one way is to reduce the expenses. Okay. And so we're going to have a presentation here on the 5th that was a part of the ACA, that we had to have a third party consultant go out, look at the budget, look at the rates. We don't have anything to do with that and make a recommendation on what the rates and what the budget should be. So I'm just telling you before that presentation even gets here, that they're going to tell you, you got to look at the cash flow. So that's why I'm starting with that. And now I'm going to go through some of the things that we had to do to get there. Now, last year, I think when we were talking about all our expenses and whatnot, you know, one of the, we were talking about Glee, we were talking about our contract, our expense. Okay. So last year, we cut $500,000 out of our, when I say our, the Metro Consulting's budget as it pertains to water. So we did that, $500,000. Okay. So this year, 300,000. Okay. So that's a lot of money in the last 2 years. Now, I would tell you right now, we're probably busier than we ever been because we've got as much construction as we've ever had. And we have that 1,000-page document that the trust agreement is its own document. The administrative consent agreement is its own document. And then there's a settlement agreement. So there's 3 legal documents that it's about 1,000 pages that we have to do all kinds of reporting and all kinds of things. I have to get things from the finance department. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. So I'm telling you that we're reducing our fees, but the amount of work is increasing. So I'm just putting that out there. Some of the other things that I wanted to share with council is we're talking about the customer service center where we're currently located and have been since we've been here. We come to the point where we can't afford that. I shouldn't say we can't afford it, but if we're looking at cuts, we have to look at everything. We have to look at our fees. We have to look at utilities, rent. So right now, the rent is $72,000 a year for us to be down the street. And so as we're looking at cuts, if we can move back to City Hall or move to City Hall for the first time, that would save us $72,000. Okay. So that's a substantial amount of money in savings. Right now, the customer service center works well for several reasons. I mean, we got down there in the beginning days next to the police, collecting money. It's been a great place, but if we're going to continue to move forward, then we have to continue to consolidate and be efficient. So, you know, that's a tremendous cut. We're looking at trying to get everybody in City Hall. And we're looking at some other options too. If we can't get everybody in, at least the building clerks will be here, and some of the engineering staff will be here. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the field staff yet, but I wanted to put that out there so that we could talk about that. You know, obviously it's a big undertaking. You know, we've got people that have been coming down to customer service center down there for 6, 7, 8 years. So we've got to put messaging out, but so there's a lot of things we got to get with IT. There's a lot of things that have to happen to make that come to fruition. But I think it's something that's well worth considering when you talk about almost $100,000. So that's something that's out there. Last year we've got some sewer meters in the ground. Okay, last year that was it's not sure on the number of meters. It's over 15. It's somewhere between 15 and 20, but that was $85,000 last year. So as a part of the settlement agreement, we've been able to transfer that expense out of our contract, out of the water budget, and onto a grant. So that expense will be taken care of elsewhere, and it will not come out of our budget. So that's an $85,000 savings. here's one that I'm not very excited about, but I think it's something we need to do. Right now, last year, our maintenance budget for water and sewer maintenance, so this is not us, but this is fixing leaks and sinkholes that are caused maybe by underground infrastructure. It's $1 million last year. And that's been a problem that we've had for many years, is that it's kind of a reactionary thing. We got a lot of things, we got a lot of old infrastructure here that we need to fix. So that was $1 million. So that's going down to 500,000. Okay, 100,000 out of water, 400 out of sewer. So, I mean, talked about 600,000 in maintenance, $85,000 in meter licensing for meters, 300,000 out of us, $72,000 out of the customer service center. There's also, we don't have, well, we were able to, last year was the first, we had to do the trust agreement. We had to set that up. So that was part of the settlement agreement. That was $100,000. We don't have that now since it's set up. So that's $90,000 is coming out. So, and the last one was accounting services, which we were able to reduce 10,000. So all of that cumulatively is just under $900,000, just under 10% reduction. So that's kind of the grand scheme of things on what we're doing with the budget. So it was reduce everything you can, because we need you to reduce everything you can. So that's a lot more than what we did last year. Last year was a little bit of maintenance and mainly our fee. This year was everything under the sun that we could reduce, just thinking about things totally different so that we could bring the best value to the city. So it's kind of what we did with our budget. I can take some questions if you have specific questions on any of that or any other things that you'd like to get
Yes,
answered.
ma'am. Madam Pro Tem, the floor is up. Members of council, the floor is open. So share the floor with one another. Madam Pro Tem, want to go ahead and go in?
Here. Didn't we have a grant for infrastructure? Didn't we apply for a grant? Yeah, for infrastructure. We get some grant funds to help.
Well, we have several grants. The one that was a part of the lawsuit was 30 million. And that's the one that is funding the meters and some other things. So I don't know what specific grant, but we have several grants.
As you said, last year it was over $1 million. Did that come from your budget or did it come from grant?
What did I say? There was
For
no.
the infrastructure.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm talking about maintenance. So let's talk about that for a minute. So that was not being paid. That was not a grant. That's $1 million out of the water budget. So that was not grant funded. So we reduced that down. So that means, we try to be Johnny on the spot and fix every call we get, every water main break we get. We try to go out and repair that. Now, say moving forward, we can't be as responsive to that because we're trying to cut. Now, you gotta be careful with that, because once these meters are done, right, we can't just have water running because that costs money, right? And now we're going to have something to count. Right now, the whole big thing was we don't know how much water we're using, this, that, and the other. But then, you're trying to balance. Well, you got 115-year-old infrastructure. You're putting in new pipes. You can't afford to keep fixing the old pipes. So it's a balancing act that we're going to have to try to do. But we're going to try to live with outside of emergencies. We're going to try to be as tight as we can on the mains. We're not going to let the city just go upside down. But we got to be. We can't do everything. We can't have new water. We can't fix old water. I mean, it's hard to do all that. But I mean, we're going to do what we can to cut that.
And can you explain, because I know you explained it to me, but a lot of people don't hear it. When the water was running for over a week up on Hamilton by Fort Park, Woodward Amendment by Fort Park and right past and right out, and that water was running.
Oh, okay. So, what Council President Pro Tem is referring to is we had some part of this litigation was we have a lot of larger mains that are run through the city, 24-inch mains right around Midland is one of them. And they're telling us that you need to abandon those mains. So the water that she's taught, either we had to put in a line stop, so we didn't have a valve on this 24-inch line. So we had to put a line stop on to close that off so that we can abandon that water main and then put flowable fill inside of it. So since we don't have the plant right now, we no longer have the use for the larger mains intermingle with the smaller mains. So if you think about smaller mains trying to fill up larger mains, is pressure drop. So they're telling us that you got to cut all those old mains off. You got to isolate them, fill them, and we want everything flowing through the mains that are appropriate for the size of the city. So that's, and then the other operation we had is, all of this water main on John R is being directionally drilled. And so water is needed for the directional drill machine to pump fluids into the hole. So that is either one of those two things is the water that you're referring to.
Go right ahead.
Do we have like, we're always reactive instead of being proactive in things in which we do in the city. Have we thought about putting together like a team or a crew that goes throughout this city, every single abandoned parcel there is? We need to shut these water lines off because there's water running everywhere. And this is costing us. We're paying the price for it, We need to go through especially our municipal buildings, okay? We need to make sure that the water is off in these buildings as well too, because I'm being told that there's water that's running there as well, okay? And then the abandoned municipal buildings as well. So any building that's abandoned, we should have a team to simply go around and shut this water off. If nobody's occupying the building, turn it off. If they need to cut back on, then they could come down to the service center and turn it back on. But there's no reason to leave it on and leave it running, and and we're being stuck with the bill. Because that's basically what's happening.
So, Councilman Shafi, I'll tell you, we do have a very aggressive theft program.
Mhm.
And we've had it for a number of years now.
Yeah, not theft, no, just, okay. I give a prime example. So on my street, there are a couple of abandoned houses. Now the houses are dilapidated to the point where can't nobody go inside because the roof is either caving in or something of that nature, right? The house is abandoned, but I can hear water running in the basement. I can hear it. Okay. And that's going on all over this city. These abandoned, dilapidated properties, water has not been terminated to these properties. I don't know why. I don't even want an excuse as to why it hasn't been done. I'm just looking for it to be done so that we can limit the loss of water and how much we're paying out. Every dime, every penny, every nickel, every dime that we save counts, okay? And I appreciate the fact that you've cut your budget. I'm hoping that every department looks for ways to cut costs as you have. Every department needs to be doing what you're doing. And I applaud you for it. It shows that you're a good steward of the city and you realize that we can't go no farther, so something's got to give. Okay. The rates can't go up, so something needs to be cut out. And I appreciate the fact that you're doing that. Every department needs to do that. And I mean, every department needs to make cuts. Every single one of them. Are you back?
Thank you very much. Additional questions and comments from other members of council? Yes, ma'am, please.
When we talk about abandoning those mains, what was appropriate for the city, how are we going to accommodate the city turn those back on? What happens if we gain 20,000?
So, if we, okay, on the larger scale, we have a way. So basically the city has 16-inch, 12-inch, 8-inch, and then the big mains were like the 24 and associated with the plant. So if the city grows, or when the city grows, I should say if, when it does, we'll probably have to increase some of those 8-inch mains to 12. Okay. But we won't, I don't see us having the need, even the need for having a bunch of 16-inch mains running around, because there's cities that are larger than Highland Park that just have one 12-inch feed that comes into it. So we're fortunate enough to have the 16 coming down Hamilton. And so, we probably will have to look at a couple mains that we'll need to upsize, but we're essentially, we've had to kind of, you probably heard Kathy say this before, is reverse the way the city was designed, because everything was designed to come from the plant. Now we're kind of coming from the other end of the city. And so there's some things, some engineering things that we're still working through. But I don't think, to answer your question, we will not need the large size mains, but there are some smaller mains, maybe a handful of 8-inch mains that might need to go to 12.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions, ma'am? Please go right ahead.
Would we need to increase those names if we had 20 families coming in? It would probably be a bigger number, right?
Oh, yeah, it'd be much bigger. Yeah, not for something, no. But I mean, if we had like, a couple of really, really large developments come in, residential developments, then, it may be something that we need to look at, because the real deal is we still, we only have replaced maybe 25-30% of the main. So we still have 65% of the main is old. So if we got a big development, it's still water flowing through old mains, right? So that could be a problem for us.
So when you say large developments, are you talking about something as big as like the Main Street?
Yeah, but on a residential scale though. Like, so just say we were going in reverse, say the Means building wasn't there anymore and you had 300 houses or 200 houses that were new coming on, which I would love, because that would take some of this expense that you talk about and disperse it over more people. Right now we got a little pool and a big expense. We need the expense to stay where it is and get a bigger pool, because the bigger pool will reduce what the individuals are paying right now.
Exactly.
I mean, that's really what we're trying to do with this development. We need to really get the smart development here, and so we can increase our numbers, so we can allocate our costs over more people. That will bring some relief to the residents.
You still talking, Ms. Martin?
No, I'm done. Are you?
So I agree with that. You already know that I feel like we need bigger development that's gonna bring more people. With that though, when we talk about development, do the development or the person that's bringing the development have some responsibility to the water?
That's a very good question. So what we've been doing is we've been meeting with CED and the planning and McKenna, and talking about that. They're doing a lot of kind of visioning on what they think is going to happen in the city over the next several years. But we know how much water main we need. So it would be fair to ask the developer in the development agreement to help the city replace infrastructure, roads, water, and sewer, so that the city is not burdening all of those expenses. So we have all the information we need. If we get to the table and have that opportunity, we can say, hey, we need, all the water main around the perimeter development, either upsized or replaced at your expense. We need these roads redone at your expense, and let them run their numbers and see what that looks like in their performance. But we would definitely have those conversations and try to get as much of that passed off in the development agreement. But I mean that, there's a point where the market is going to, bear, but we're going to certainly ask for that and require as much of that get done as possible.
Thank you.
Mr. Garrett, I got one more question for you. So you know me already. I hate the word miscellaneous. Line item 592-000-661-000, page 32. Now granted, it is zeroed out. I'll tell you, Miss Eleanor did zero it out, but in 2023 to 24, it was $21,770. And then there's an active 2024 to 25. There's an active amount of $11,355. Okay. what, for the love of God, sweet Jesus, what is miscellaneous? What is that? I mean, that's a lot of money under miscellaneous. And I'm seeing it throughout this entire budget. Miscellaneous here, miscellaneous there. It's in the millions.
So just off the top of my head, because I think you asked about that
I did.
last year.
I did.
And so it's a number of different things that don't fall into one category, but I don't, what I'd like to do is just bring you the list
I
again,
appreciate
so
that.
that you can see the items.
Yeah.
I don't want to start telling you it's
Yeah.
3,000 for this, but we have a list and I can itemize
Okay.
that and let you see
I
that.
would appreciate that very much.
That's fair.
Thank you.
Additional questions?
I've got some comments.
Yes, ma'am. Please go right ahead.
So in a nutshell, these cuts prevent the city or keep the city from having to raise rates. The rates will be stable, right? There will be no increase in the water rates. And Council President, I want to remind you that a public hearing has to be set tonight for public hearing for the budget and a public hearing for the water.
Yes, ma'am. So that will fall upon members of council. Hopefully you
I'm
heard.
just letting you
Yes,
know
ma'am.
that has to be done tonight. We didn't do it at the last one, and there's a certain amount of time here, it has to go in the paper for 14 days, and then you gotta notify, the public and all of that. So I'm just letting you know that there's that regular meeting. But the whole purpose of these cuts, the reason why we're cutting is because we have non-paying customers.
Mm.
We have big non-paying customers. One of the customers is on the agenda.
Correct.
It's the 83-acre Ford factory in Manchester. So they are not paying anything, not paying water, they're not paying sewer. And then we're missing millions of dollars. So we have customers that are not paying, we can't afford to do all the things that we've budgeted to do. We have a shortfall. And so council stopped putting the little water bills on taxes 10, 15 years ago. Because what was happening was that people were losing their houses to the water, and they stopped. And if you look at the delinquent list, a lot of purchase, a lot of land-based properties, speculating properties, commercial properties, and it's still the council's. If council wants to put these bills on their taxes as special assessments, they still have the ability to do that if they want to revisit that. But what happens is it ends up going down to the county and it goes through foreclosure procedure and all of that. But the fact is that these non-paying customers, basically, people who are paying for them. The residents are paying for that. Because Gleveland's bill, whether water is leaking or not, is the same bill every month. It's drawing up the system, now that's what the meters are gonna do for us. So we're hoping that this time next year, I'm not even saying hoping. Those meters go in, we're gonna force the bill down.
Yeah.
We're not gonna hold, pray and all of that. We're gonna force them down. Because we know we're not using $550,000 a month worth of water. You know that. They've gone around town and shut off water all over the place. The problem is we keep having, like you said, you're hearing it, water in a basement of a caveman. Because there's always new leaks.
That's right.
So I think that the engineering department that works out of the back of the water office of the shopping center is probably someplace that they can find a spot to work at. I don't recommend the basement of City Hall, and that's why the police department moved out.
That's right.
Because if we get a torrential rainstorm, we get 3-4 feet of water down. And so that's not really good.
The space in which the court left downstairs, that window right there.
City Hall is not the best place because there's no air conditioning. Bathrooms are, we have water pressure issues. But what we're doing now is sacrificing for another year, gonna make do to force those water rates down so that this time next year, we're having a reduction. Because there's parts of the bill. There's $550,000 a month that we have to pay for police taking their money. That was the trust. And then there's Metro and the water department and all that stuff. If you recall, we didn't have a water. Water department had been cut to the point where there was two guys trying to read broken meters. You remember those? So they did that up. Now they have had to look hard at their costs. And the reason why they got to try to, because we can't afford to pay it. And we don't want to be back in the situation where we don't have a water department. And so I think this no rate increase, you know, and as you see on the regular agenda, we're taking legal action. You know, the city has, the ordinance allows two ways. We can sue non-payers, we put it on the tax. So, you know, the biggest non-payers, actually, they sued us.
Yeah.
And we had countersuit.
I see, Ms. Manager.
So bottom line, that's what this is about. This is about, you know, rates already doubled when we sell.
Mhm.
So we're not tripping with them. You can't do it. The residents that come in here, council has expressed their desire for the reduction. I think that's been taken under advisement. This almost $1 million cuts is necessary to stabilize the rates so we can force the rates down next year.
Okay.
Ms. Manica, you had something you wanted to add to the
I
conversation?
did.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Talking about the nonprofits, Ms. Square mentioned the churches and other nonprofits. Is there a distinction of what nonprofits that do have to pay some form of, or do they, or everybody
Everybody.
pays?
We don't know whether it's not or not. You have a meter, you need water, you have to pay.
So everybody pays.
Everybody has to pay.
Nobody gets a.
That's correct.
Because you're
Okay.
paying for them. If they don't pay, then you're paying for them.
I know that, but I'm just asking because before, if I'm correct, it came up that some were not paying. And I'm sure we probably getting them to pay now. That was like way early on when we started discussing budget and paying. So I was just wondering if there is a guideline or is there any that get us different kind of break or leeway? And you can answer that at another date or.
I have a list of the delinquent accounts, 1.7 million. He just cut 800,000. If we got all this money, we wouldn't have any cuts. We probably could reduce the rates to the rate payer. Probably, you know, maybe add some.
Mhm.
And start paying the general fund money back. But, you know, these are folks that are the residents and the businesses that are paying for these things.
Okay,
Because we still have to pay legal $550,000 a month.
All right.
So we're cutting our own,
I got it. Our budget, our
our
own.
ability to service leaks, to go around and make repairs, patch the system until it can be completely replaced. This is serious, which is why on the regular agenda, we're doing what we have to do to ensure that the city has some integrity with some of these big operators.
So-
Will abandon the city if we're not careful.
Okay, so later, at another date, is there some way that we can discuss it with you, council, that is, on how council could be effective with you to, I guess, help or assist with getting these people to pay their bills?
Councilwoman, the way
That's
council
not-
is effective is you put it on their taxes. That's what the ordinance says.
Okay,
And there's no way to coax them into it. There's no,
well, I didn't want to coach them. I just wanted to know, I thought earlier someone said,
let me tell you what Detroit has done,
okay,
which is draconian. Now you get your water turned off in Detroit. They make come down, go down and make a payment.
Mhm.
And if you don't pay it off in 3 years, they make you agree to have it put on your tax.
Mhm.
So what council's authority under the ordinances is to put it on their taxes.
Okay, that answers that. Thank you. Moving to City Hall, is there a time before you, because you have a rent down there?
Mhm.
What is that time that you have to make a decision to come down here, or how soon you have to move down? And is that something that we have to improve?
That's July 1. This budget is expected for July 1. So July 1, they have to move. So they gotta, if this budget's approved and all of that, then July 1, they need to, now there is a space, you recall, the court used to have their own little window where you go pay tickets and stuff.
On the first floor.
And the clerk cleaned that area up because she needed to have a space for early voting. And so she's willing to give that space to them. And, you know, there's flags there and all of that they can go over to treasury and pay, like they used to. And the problem is, we're just gonna have to make do because this building is so unreliable. You know, people's water pressure, power, remember we had to go to the cloud, we're always losing power, doesn't have air conditioning, but we're gonna have to suffer until we can get the rates down.
Well, at least you be here and you know about the water pressure.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes, sir.
I have one last question and I'm done. Explain to me what contractual services is. I'm looking at contractual service in the water and sewage fund. I'm looking at that one. We got water disposal. I'm looking at that one. It's 125,000. Granted, it's zeroed out for this year. In water administration, contractual service is 152,000, and it's been cut down to 31,000. And I'm looking at it again in water distribution services at 26,000. It's up to 100,000. And again, yeah, you know, what is this contractual service? What is that?
You talking 536-801?
Yes. Yeah. So the first one here, it's in water and sewage.
Yeah, some of it is transferring some costs from the general fund back to the water fund.
Okay.
So that's, you know, all this borrowing and paying that's going between these enterprise funds. That's what I have. Some of it is.
Okay.
But I can get you a better detail of all of it. But I know my notes say right here, that's what some of it is. But
Okay.
there's a couple other things, and I want to give you an accurate answer. So
Okay.
I got itemized and miscellaneous, and I got to give you an itemized of contractual services.
Okay. Okay. All right. I yield back, Council President.
Okay, let me jump in here and add a little bit of context to this as well. I have not received from any other member of council the worksheet that would include council's budgetary needs in this next cycle. Because I know we still got 20 minutes left. I know you're still on the hook, or do you have
put me
additional?
over here though if you want.
Huh?
You can put me over there if you want.
Yeah. Do we have any additional questions for Mr. Garrett? Because if not, okay, Mr. Garrett, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate the
Thank you.
cuts.
Thank you very much.
I
Thank
heard
you very much.
we listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So members of council, a couple of different things. I have not received from members a copy of the worksheet that was sent out where we would add items for our particular budget. I know last year we had budgetary dollars that were allocated for us. I don't believe that they were all spent. One of the things that I think we should finally take a look at after 3 years is the muni codes. I'll get with CD Director Clyburn. He's the last council president that worked on the municipal codes. I can also reach out to, well, I'll start there because what we need to do is find out the exact number to have our municipal codes updated. Why is that important? Because I went to look at some information today and I realized that the ordinance that I was looking at had been modified and updated, but that the record online still reflected the previous municipal code. We have a lot of ordinance related items that have been updated in the last city council. Say what you want to say about the last city council. They updated a number of different ordinances. They did the legislative work necessary to make those modifications to our ordinances. And we have to be honest, our codes and our ordinances are extremely outdated. Some of those things go back to the 1950s. And as somebody who sat on the planning commission and also the zoning board of appeals, there are things on it that probably should have been updated a very long time ago. And that's just one example. So I'm taking it upon myself to get a number for what that would be and submit that on the worksheet to the administration so that the council can have funding available to go through the municipal codes. Members have been asking since the very beginning to make updates to the ordinance. It is our responsibility, but we want to hire a consultant that can do it far better than we can and put the package together to present it to us. And that's what we get when we pay for the Muni Code services. All of our ordinances are written in legalese. I don't care how, like I always say before, I don't care how many grad school classes that I've had. I've never written an ordinance before. None of us have. So it'd be a good idea to have a company who specializes in updating municipal codes come in here and provide us the framework that we need to do. So it's going to take us a year. It's going to take us a year to get the muni codes updated. Once we actually get into the individual ordinances, I believe this group is going to find quite a few things that they feel are either outdated or that should be changed. I'm just fairly certain that with the people that we have on council, if you had a chance to really dig into the ordinances, you would find things that are just obsolete, one, and there are better ways to do some things. So that is my recommendation for a budget item for our city council. The individual districts, I would encourage you to follow up in writing with the finance department to confirm your budget for this cycle. As we did last year, was just handed to us. It was handed to us the year before. These last 20 months, I figured we should take some ownership of it and make sure that you fill out the worksheet and ask specifically for what your individual needs are or what you believe they are. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
I emailed it to you. I mean, I guess you can print it out here.
yeah,
All your devices will allow you to print out here. So I emailed it to you.
yeah,
I don't have a hard copy. I'm working with the digital copy.
yeah. I did not get that email. I thought you
Um,
did not get it.
So I gotta get with Lackey with my email. That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, yeah, mine. I didn't get
Yes,
that email
ma'am.
at all.
If you look at the council's budget on page 2, there's 15,000 in contractual services. Might be able to add something to that beauty code, but I'm not really sure what that is. I don't think that that's something that it do. Each council district has $5,000 in citywide activities.
Right, if that $5,000 is something, it's 19 now. And I still didn't get an answer why that is.
It's
So let me just do this right quick for those who said they didn't get it. I sent this email on the screen on the 16th of April.
Okay. Yeah, I'm opening up my emails now. I'm gonna see if I can locate it.
And there are all of the people.
Yeah, 'cause I definitely didn't see
Okay. The original email went out on the 14th. So everybody should have it.
Right, that's why I'm pressing my heart now. But I'll get with Mr. Lackey.
Yep. So I mean, it's just
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
we're not calling
spreadsheet.
you a lie, Council President. I just said I didn't see it.
Right.
No, it's okay. I mean,
I
it's
just think you send it.
no. I wanted to reference it so that you could find it.
My email, so until I get with Mr. Lackey,
Okay.
I get a hard copy, that's all.
So
Was
okay.
it titled Department Head Presentation?
No, sir. It was entitled Additional Budget Workshop.
Okay, all right. Let me keep looking.
I'll find out how much beauty code was to update, but council still has 5,000, each district has 5,000.
Where do you see that?
Right here.
It's a little.
Okay, well, it's digital. So
you all got, you had cleanups last year, you got floats and you had all kinds of stuff that you bought.
That was done, the future, doesn't it, goes back out.
No,
Right?
that was,
No, I didn't. I didn't want to.
I didn't.
The
Eleanor,
only thing I got called for was when I was asked, would I approve dumps and extension? That was about all I got. called for. That is a phone call for dumps. So who approved that? Like, I don't. She asked me to say that. Who was she?
Okay. So,
I think you had an event this year. You have not had an event at all.
I have not.
Not from July one to now.
Ma'am.
Well, I know council.
I have not had an event. I have not.
And Manica is there.
okay, so ladies, members of council, if you don't mind focusing your attention on the screen for just a second, this spreadsheet will allow you to add your budget items. Just like you see here, it says the description. This is the worksheet. So you can add an item here.
Can you enlarge that or no?
I can, hold on a second.
I gotta find it on here. I am not seeing it.
If it will allow, I don't think it'll allow me to expand it and share.
Maybe highlight it or something like that?
Okay, yep, so I'll highlight right here.
All right, thank you.
You see that line I'm highlighting at the top?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can add your item here.
Okay.
That's your description. And then you would add the activity for the year. How much budget did you think that you would use as of, well, this is for the amended. So what department is being requested? Okay, so you could put your amount in there, whatever that amount is, but then make sure that you have a description for it. So it's really that simple for us to amend the budget for things that we need for council, if you believe that they are. And that the budget dollars fall at the district level. At large, we don't have budget dollars. We just have to get in where we fit in with the districts. But that's why I made that request specifically about municipal codes, because it is crucial to us in these last 19 months to be able to move those ordinances forward, at least to make changes specifically to the real estate section. There's been a lot of discussion within the city council about the real estate section. We need to get in there and make whatever changes people feel are necessary, bearing in mind that those changes have to be legally solid. We can't make any changes that won't hold up in court. So that's one of the things that we have to be mindful of as we change. We are legislators, we are lawmakers, but if we make changes to these ordinances that are not constitutional, that means they will be forever challenged in court, and they could be undone by the fact that we've put an ordinance into place that's just not able to be held up by the law.
That was what Ms. Square was talking about. We set a date for that.
Well, so what we need to do first is make sure that we allocate some funds.
You have the funds in the
We-
budget already.
We have them.
15,000 in there.
Okay.
And citywide activities, there's another $2,500 for, if it were non-district activity.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, it sounds like we need to get cracking on
You got
reaching out.
non-district money, You got 15,000, each district has 5,000. So there's money in there.
So then I guess the process is,
And you got 5,000 for seminars, training, and meeting and travel.
so that's close to $20,000 for a task that should be about 12 to 15. Okay, that's good to know.
I want to confirm you don't want to make sure you have enough.
Okay,
And it's more than that.
so that will be a question that I need to address directly with the finance director, and I ask that she report back. And then the last thing before we come to 6:50, before we come to the end of the workshop, is that we need to make sure that we get a motion on the floor during the regular meeting to hold the public hearing on the budget and on the water rates for our May 5th meeting, so that they can advertise for it in the paper, and we can check all of the boxes per the laws in the state of Michigan. Other than that, good and welfare.
Council President,
Yes, ma'am.
well, Mr. Ashafi was speaking first.
Mr. Shabby, you had something?
Yeah, if it's possible, if it's not too much to ask, can you send me that email again, please?
Sure.
I appreciate it,
I'll
And
forward
my
it over to you.
statement
because I'm
was,
not finding it here. I'm sorry, I'm just not finding it.
No problem.
just so that we are aware, I think Because before I looked into Muni Code, at one time, I think it was like 2,800 annually, but it just depends on how many ordinance that we have to revise. So there's some variation in that annual price probably. Just throwing that out as a bit of information about the Muni Code.
Okay, I'm excited about the possibility of being able to actually get in there and make some changes. I think it would be a good idea that we really make that happen. Other than that, I don't think we have anything here for good and welfare. We do have a regular scheduled meeting coming up in about 10 minutes. So I will go ahead and adjourn the workshop at 6:51 p.m. Thank you.
Recording.